Good morning and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Santa Clarita In-Home Care and Advanced Audiology. Got my tongue twisted around my eye teeth. Is that what it is? I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Gene Dorio.
On your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And our guest this morning is the inimitable Dr. Thomas Bilecki.
Well, your tongue didn't get tied
DC.
on that one, did you?
No, it didn't.
I think I like that.
I was wondering whether it would or not.
Inimitable. Use that in a sentence.
Say it 10 times.
I just did.
That's awesome.
And welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Yes, and you have a couple of papers full of all kinds of writing.
Yes. Yeah.
Last time I talked to you, you didn't know what you were going to talk about today.
Right. Well, some events have happened in between the time I saw you last and now. So your namesake, not necessarily related, but I'm sure Dr. Dorio is familiar with something called the Cochran Collaborative. Yes? Oh, okay.
Johnny Cochran, I know of. Went to my high school.
Not Johnny Cochran. No.
The Cochran
So we've talked in the past about evidence-based medicine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So the Cochran Collaborative is a group of over 31,000 independent, unbiased researchers in over 120 countries that actually look at the outcomes of different medical procedures, different medical devices, different pharmaceuticals, and instead of just buying the company line that is usually bought and paid for, the research is bought and paid for by the manufacturers of those products, they look at the real outcomes of when groups of people subscribe to this, what really happens, and then they give their report at the end of the year.
So is this like, do they evaluate medication?
Yes.
They do?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a Yelp for us.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The Cochran Collaborative, and in particular, Peter Goitia is the co-founder of the Cochran Collaborative, and you're starting to see more and more of this gentleman out there because he is on a mission, because when he finds something that is really, really wrong, he's not shy about it. And actually, your sponsor, Nola Aronson, was responsible for me. I've known about the Cochran Collaborative for years. It is my gold standard for when I hear something, when I hear a patient say, well, my doctor said I really need to do this or that or the other, I go right to the Cochran Collaborative and see if it is scientifically valid. Is it real? Because I don't know. I can't keep up with this stuff. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, most doctors have a lot of pressure put on them by the producers of a particular substance or device or whatever
drug
to say that this is right for everyone who walks through the door regardless. And doctors don't have the time all the time to check into it. They're going to say, okay, show me the randomized control trial, show me the research, show me the information. And at a cursory evaluation of it, all this stuff looks good on the surface. Sometimes too good to be true. But you don't have time. Most doctors do not have time to dig deep. To dig deep. This is the whole agenda for the Cochran Collaborative. This is all they do. They are not sponsored by any group. They do not have a political agenda. They do not have any interest whatsoever except getting to the bottom of stuff.
But how
their
do
findings
they get paid?
Are disturbing. I don't know. I really don't know that answer.
That's the backdrop of all of this. You figure out who's paying for all of this. Now, if you have somebody who has $10 billion and they can go out and say whatever they want, they can finance this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
So I would like to know.
That's a bias.
I'm going to look up Peter Goitia, but of course, how do you spell Goitia?
It's like Netherlands, so it's GOTZSCHE.
Gotz.
Yeah.
SCHE. Goitcha.
Yeah.
Goitcha, Barb.
So he's co-founder of the Cochran Collaborative. As far as I know, they are not sponsored. As far as
somebody's got to back people to read these. Are they reading it for free?
I don't know. I don't know how it all works.
Pay people to.
But I do know that they don't come out with saying, okay, this is bad. No, here, try this instead. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like that. It's not like they're saying, cool. Oh, all that stuff is really bad. You should do this instead. Because that, I would say, all right, there's a bias there. They're selling something. Mm-hmm. But they don't do that. So my understanding is this is all just pure research. Now, how does that happen? It costs money to do that. So I don't know the answer to that. But I do know that they don't have an agenda as far as I can tell. So that's kind of refreshing.
So let's say you have new medications on the market. You just saw a commercial on television. Mm-hmm. So you go to Cochran Collaborative. And
just Google that.
And then to say like drugs, and under that you type in the name of the medication. And hopefully they've evaluated it already.
Right. If it's a new drug, probably not. You're not going to find anything on a new drug because it hasn't been out long enough for them to really compile the information. So it's not like... A lot goes into getting a drug to the market, and not all of it is as clean and ethical as we'd like to believe it is. But that's not what this is about. This is about once that's in circulation, once large numbers of people are actually doing this, what really happens. And they're looking at the research and saying, well, there doesn't seem to be any scientific validity to certain things. And he gave his list of his top 5 things that there seems to be absolutely no scientific validity. In fact, many of the things that are currently being used for specific conditions actually cause the condition that they're supposed to be treating.
So I'm looking at their site right now, and it says funders are the World Health Organization.
Oh, there you go.
Right.
Are you okay with that?
Oh, I'm fine with it. But, there are some people that will say climate change down with World Health Organization. Right. Healthcare rating 37th in the world for the United States. I don't believe that. Down with World Health Organization. So you have people, but I don't think it's...
Well, I think they have their own biases.
Oh, yeah, they do. But if they're putting it into the hands and paying somebody else and fund somebody else to really look without bias at some of these, especially the medications, and maybe even some of the tools that are being used in medicine surgically now, that to me is worth it. And I'm on the site now, and as you're talking, I'm going to be going through some of these.
Yeah, fact-checking. I like that. So he came out with his list, top 5. And actually, Nola Aronson, your sponsor of today's show, posted, and it just refreshed my interest in it because, I will sporadically go and use this as my credibility check. Is it really scientifically valid? But what she posted, he recently came out with his top 5. He was speaking to a large group in Australia, and he said, these are the things that you really need to be wary of. And he was talking to a group of medical doctors because there are great medical doctors out there who know that there's a lot going on in the practice of conventional medicine that is not in the patient's best interest. So they're constantly looking for, okay, what can I do to serve my patients better? And in every field, there are doctors like that. And then, unfortunately, the majority of people just don't have time. They're just going to do the company line, so to speak. So he comes out with this list of five medications that have essentially no scientific validity whatsoever, and one medical screening process that should absolutely be avoided. And this is going to ruffle a lot of feathers out there. I can guarantee that right now. Doesn't change the facts at all. And when it comes to the facts, I will stand by the Cochran Collaborative over anything else. So, top 5. Number 1, antidepressants. based on a theory that serotonin imbalance is the key component of depression, there is very little correlation. In fact, some medications that reduce serotonin actually improve some forms of depression. So the very thing that they're saying causes depression may not have any real hard correlation whatsoever. And secondly, if that is true, if it is a serotonin imbalance, putting someone on a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, an SSRI for short, which is the go-to medication for depression, absolutely creates that imbalance. Within 2 to 3 months, you have created the imbalance that you are supposedly treating, which may have absolutely no correlation to the disease whatsoever. So his findings were that if these are to be used at all, and he has very strict criteria of when it is appropriate and when it's not appropriate, they need to be used short term, less than 3 months.
Mm-hmm. What if you find an effect after 3 months, and let's say the person was depressed and even at a level of suicidal? And are you going to then at 3 months say, I'm going to stop this medication because, they seem fine now? I mean,
I understand, and that is
a big dare?
That is always the objection. That is the classic objection to when these facts are presented. And the facts are that SSRIs actually seem to increase the likelihood of suicide, not decrease them.
So I have found in my practice when SSRIs came out 20 years ago, we had a lot of 30, 40 years ago when I worked at the VA hospitals, we had a lot of problems with depression and post-traumatic stress syndrome, things like that, and we really couldn't treat it. I mean, we were giving medication with the thought that there's a chemical imbalance, but we didn't find good results.
Right.
Once though SSRIs came out, I would say a good 40 to 50% of my patients responded in some way. And my questions always are, do you feel better? Has the weight been taken off your shoulders? And I think that some of the people taking SSRIs had profound effect, but because there are probably many different reasons for depression, not just chemical imbalance, but socially and things like that.
Absolutely, no question.
So, and I think when we strive to try to correct that, we may try medicines, but also there's a social issue of trying to get the family better, lifestyle, all these things that can improve and help those people out. So,
and the findings absolutely correlate that. Short term is the best window of an SSRI actually doing some good in the short term. After a 3-month period, however, those results are actually reversed.
Well, I'm of a firm belief that you do not take antidepressants. That's my firm belief. My feeling is you need to find out why you're depressed.
All the other ancillary
his findings were if it is not an immediate life and death crisis, nothing should be done for at least a few weeks.
Relative to medicine.
Relative to medicine.
And I agree
because
with that.
a lot of people are just going through something that is real, something that would make any healthy person feel depressed, at least for a little while, and their body has amazing self-regulating systems that will eventually come online if you give it the opportunity to do so. But if you cripple them with SSRIs, you may initially see a positive result, but inevitably the long-term result is not good.
It's negative. I agree with you. I agree with you completely.
But, as a physician, there's that you mentioned earlier, the constant pressure.
Sure.
And in our elder senior population, we're always, they're going to have medical problems that are threatening to them, let alone financial, mobility, problems like that. I mean, you're not going to be, but everybody says, give them a drug.
Yep.
And I mean, not only do the pharmaceutical companies promote that, but the families do too.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're always looking for saying, take this, put them on a drug, help, as if it's going to rectify the problem.
Everybody
right off
wants
the bat.
that quick answer.
Of course,
Everybody wants that.
And to me, and I take the time to be able to explain to the patients and family members that let's look at the other things that you might be able to do to enhance your level, your mood level, and see if we can, find something that.
That's why you're my favorite medical doctor, and I've had medical doctors in my family, so that's saying a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm part of your family. We didn't tell people that, did we?
So this doesn't come easy. I'm not here trying to prove my point or my agenda or anything like this. This doesn't come easy. I come from a medical family. My uncle was a prominent psychiatrist back east, and I can not only vouch for him as being a great human being, but a great doctor. And when I see this stuff, I know that he had more of your approach, but that is few and far between these days.
I know. It's a time factor. It's the influence from big pharma on physicians. There's so many things going on right now that have changed over the last 20 years that are impacting how we're able to practice medicine.
Absolutely. It's sad. And there's the real numbers, when you forget about political agendas or whatever, and you just start looking at the numbers, they speak for themselves. We're not doing such a great job in this country. And that is the bottom line. This is not even, this is a multinational collaborative that is not, oh, look at the Americans, they're so bad, or look at America, we're so great. This is just crunching numbers and looking at what is the reality of the situation.
But it's the easy way to do things. So our society is trying to do that fast food type of medicine. And, I think it's good in manufacturing and things like that. I think it's okay to, tighten up and get everything into the right box and ship it out and stuff like that. But can you do that with people?
Well, it's like that. I look at it like this. I don't believe there is this huge conspiracy that is evil. And, here's what it is. There's a group of people that are very smart and are solely based on giving people exactly what they want and making tremendous amounts of money by doing that. I use McDonald's as an analogy. McDonald's is by far the most popular, the most world-renowned restaurant in the world. But do you really think it's good food? Do you really think that it is high quality, that it is a good restaurant? I personally don't, but I understand its appeal. It's exactly the same thing with these pharmaceutical companies. They're just giving the people what they want in a much higher volume, much higher, especially here in America. We take 75% of all the drugs manufactured on the planet, even though we only represent 5% of the world population.
But you had alluded to the healthcare system also, and how the system with big pharma and all the other profit-making organizations getting their hands into the till. And they're all at the trough, it seems, unfortunately. Of course. And I think the American people and our seniors on Medicare are now suffering. I mean, they're paying so much more than they've ever paid. They're cutting into their nest egg. And some of them, face bankruptcy. Some of them face
number one
foreclosure.
Bankruptcy. Number one cause of foreclosure.
I mean, all of these things come from our health care. And but can you tighten it up and make it fast food? And I just don't think you can. And I think most of the listeners out there will say to themselves, yeah, I just saw my doctor for 10 minutes. And if you're a senior, I mean, it takes you 10 minutes to get in the room and take your jacket off. And so they're not getting the care that they need, nor any of us. And are we going to allow that to continue to happen? And that's the big question.
Well, when we come back from the break, you have 5, you said. We have one.
Yeah, one down.
Presence. Okay. We'll tackle the rest when we come back.
Thanks.
I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.